Welcome to the Everyday PM podcast, the podcast where we discuss project management principles for your everyday life. My name is Campea. I'm the founder and host of the Everyday PM, as well as a project management enthusiast. I am so excited to welcome our very special guest, who is Rahul Chenna. He is the program management professional. He's joining us today, and we've got a lot to talk about in that space. So, Rahul, for those who have not met you yet, please take a brief moment to introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, sure. Of course. Thank you for the introduction, Anne. Hi, everyone. My name is Rahul Chenna. I'm a very curious, energetic program management professional. I am currently working at Tire Rack as a senior program manager. So, I basically look at the customer experience for people who purchase tires online. And I have a master's in engineering management, and I also have a bachelor's in computer science. And that's pretty much where I thrive. I love making sense of chaos, converting them into standardized processes. And once I have a standardized process, I basically, what do you say, scale it up. So that's where I thrive. And I'm very excited to share whatever information that I have with you guys. And hopefully, if you have any questions, I'll do my best.
Let's talk a little bit about your professional journey. Was there an aha moment when you realized, I'm doing program management, this is what I'm meant to be doing? A lot of us tend to fall into us, at least in the project management space, which
So,
maybe we should clarify the difference between project and program, right? But a lot of us tend to fall into it accidentally. So I'm curious, in terms of your professional journey, how did you figure out where you were meant to be?
so that's actually a very interesting topic you brought up because I never set out to be a project or a program manager, honestly speaking. So I
Hmm.
did my bachelor's in computer science, and one of my main aims was to become a programmer. And out of my undergraduate, I had a bit of stage fear. So my first thing was I'm having stage fear, so I need to fix that. So I jumped into sales. So that was my first job out of undergrad. And
Mm.
since I was in undergrad, I was in sales. I was doing a lot of without knowing what I was doing, I was doing a lot of portfolio management, program and project management. And since then, I worked in construction. I worked as a project manager. I worked as a product manager. I worked as a consultant. I worked as a program manager. And in various industries like manufacturing, construction, civil engineering, sales and marketing, like none of these places, I I never knew that I was doing it
Hmm.
while I was doing it. Like the reason I actually got into project management was because my third company out of my undergrad, I was in a software engineering company. And during one of the onboarding processes, they were like, hey, you have a lot of knowledge and management skill. You are perfectly suited for product management. Just
Hmm.
go there, and that basically opened my avenue. And I didn't even know what product management meant at that time. You know,
Right.
so I jumped into LinkedIn. Like I had access to LinkedIn Learning, and I think I did like 80 to 90 courses. Like, what
Wow.
exactly is project management, product management? What are the differences? Like, what do people do? How do we do it? What are the techniques? Like, that is the type of person I am. I have an opportunity. I'm just gonna jump in.
Amazing.
So that is how I realized that I've been doing product, program, and project management for the last
Yeah,
3 to 4 years of my life without actually knowing I was doing that.
that's
So, yeah,
incredible.
what you're talking about is exactly what my journey was as well. I was basically pushed into it without ever knowing what I was doing. And since I've been pushed into it, I basically embraced it. I started going into
Absolutely.
it, and now I'm the youngest program management professional holder in the world as of October 22nd, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, so let's before we dive into that, because I don't want to make an assumption that our audience knows the differences between
Okay.
project, program, and product. What to you stood out about those different areas? Because, when people refer to PM, sometimes they're talking about projects,
Got
sometimes they're talking
it. So,
about
yeah,
product, sometimes they're talking about program. Let's not forget, maybe they're talking about portfolio. When you are doing that, countless hours of going through these courses and really just absorbing what these roles were, Could you break it down for our audience in terms of, in a very basic way,
Yeah,
what is the key
definitely.
differences between those?
So think about it this way. Let's go first with product and projects. Okay, so project, program, and portfolio, these three are in the same bucket. Product in itself is a separate industry. Let's just call it that way. So the major difference between these projects and the product is that product is more customer focused. Okay, you have a specific product you're focusing on. It is
Hmm.
directly, customers are directly using it, and you're responsible for ensuring that the product that you're developing has the best usage. Like whatever
Right.
your metric is, it can be sales, whatever that. Coming to projects, okay. So projects, programs, and portfolio. So that's basically the hierarchy it follows. So projects are essentially, so think about it this way. You A company has a directive, right? Like they want to make more money. Companies do that. That's what we are here for,
Yeah,
right? So they want to
absolutely.
make more money. And the way of making more money is by initiative, like strategic initiatives. And when you're looking at that strategic initiatives, you can't just say, hey, make me $1 million just like that. You need to have a proper plan to get to the $1 million, right?
Right.
So that when we're talking about $1 million in revenue, that is where the portfolio comes in. It's probably 100 million, different higher level, but just for
Yeah,
the sake of discussion. So that is where the portfolio level is. So, okay, I need to do something in order to get that excess amount of revenue.
sure.
So you can't do a portfolio as it is. You need to break it down into, like, everyone knows WBS, like work breakdown structure. So you want to break down into easy biteable chunks.
Hmm.
So basically, portfolios are broken into programs. So programs are like a collection of projects that basically are towards a single initiative. So a portfolio can have like 6 or 7 initiatives, and each of them basically becomes a program in itself. And under the program, that is where you have the projects. So a
Yeah.
program is like 6 or 7 projects that are working together to have a common goal. So
Yeah.
maybe I'm rambling a
That
lot
was
on this
great.
part.
No, that
Yeah,
was
but
perfect.
yeah, that's the gist of it. Like, how do you ensure that you're meeting the organizational objectives without overcomplicating stuff? And you do
Absolutely.
that in these hierarchies. You do that with projects, you do that with programs, and then with portfolios.
It was a beautiful breakdown, and I appreciate that just because I want to make sure the audience understands when now that we can talk about your accomplishment, that the reason why you and I had started chatting in the first place is because in October of 2025, you hit a great milestone in your career. And so when we talk about program management, I wanted to make sure the audience was clear on what that actually meant. So let's get into the milestone, Rahul. I mean, you shared it, you alluded to it, but tell us again, October, that feeling of accomplishment and getting the certification, but walk us through that entire journey for you.
Oh my God. I would just say that like my family and my girlfriend were like shocked because I mean, news first, like I am the youngest program management holders certification holder in the world. I've spoken to, there is no official way of saying this. I've spoken to a bunch of people. I even spoke to Brian, who actually did some research on program management holders,
Uh-huh.
and so far there is no one younger than me. So if anyone is
Amazing.
planning to break that record, hey, please feel free. I would appreciate you guys too. So I am the youngest
Amazing.
recorded program management holder, and I'm pretty proud of that. It took me
Congratulations.
a lot of yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was worth it.
So tell us about what point did you decide I'm going to invest myself in getting the certification? Um, are you also PMP certified, by the way?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so
I actually got my PMP certification because my university paid for it. So I was like,
nice.
hey, you know what? Might as well get it. I've been doing it for a long time. I don't
Yes.
need to pay that money, so hell
Yeah.
yes.
So folks
So
are very familiar with PMP, right? But for those that are just kind of getting into the industry or really haven't done enough research to understand what other exist, you've got project management professional, you've got program management professional, and you've got portfolio management professional, and there are just a plethora of others that have sprung up especially since I've started doing project management about 15 years ago. So,
yeah.
as the youngest PGMP holder, uh, What do you have to say in terms of the journey? What type of effort did it take? I know you can't obviously disclose what's on the exam for folks that are interested in taking it, but walk us through that entire journey for you.
Yeah. So how I got started was that I want to, it's been a while since I've set a personal goal for myself. So this was not a professional achievement for me. This was something that I want to do on a personal level. And I was like, you know what? I've been doing program management for a while now, but
Yeah.
I have never actually sat down and learned all of the knowledge that I could consume, like I did with project management, product management. So that was where my goal was. Like, I wanted to get all of the program management information, but it's not widely available anywhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm basically in the dirt trying to figure it out myself,
Yeah.
So that is where my journey started. I want to do it by before my birthday, so that was a deadline that I set for myself,
Okay.
and it took sleepless nights. I would say I think it's been 5 to 6 days of continuous education. I mean, definitely before that too, but before the exam, it it was actually a 7 or 8 months journey for me
Wow.
overall.
Mm-hmm.
And like the week before the exam, I took time off work and I sat down and I read, like I
Mm-hmm.
went back to the basics, like what exactly is project management from
Mm.
that level. It's like I took myself over, like next step over. And
Wow.
that is where I wasn't reading for the exam per se. I was reading to remind myself what project management and program management is all about. You know,
Mm-hmm.
understand what am I doing correct in my current position and what could I develop more.
Yeah.
And that was my aim. Like, and I can easily tell you that 6 7 days I didn't even know what I was eating. I honestly was like, there is food on the plate I'm eating. That's pretty much the energy that I was going with.
Wow. 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 Do you find that the PGMP was, I don't know what the time span was between your PMP and your PGMP. Did you find one of them a little more difficult? Were they pretty similar in the ways of PMI? And so for those who haven't taken a certification through Project Management Institute, there's enough information online to tell you they're not easy.
Oh,
And so obviously with Rahul saying it took me days, sleepless nights, I didn't know what I was eating half the time I was studying for this exam. What are some of the key differences maybe that you notice between a PMP and a PGMP that you can talk about?
so let me put it this way. When I wrote the PMP, that was the toughest exam in my life.
Okay.
And I don't think I've ever done that for even my undergrad or my college exams. Like, hey, those were straightforward for me.
Yeah.
But when I wrote the PGMP, PMP seemed like a walk in the park, like honestly speaking. Well, it was so interesting. Like, program management professional exam is more of a, do you understand what you need to do as opposed to what you need to do,
Hmm.
right? So it is more of understand the situation, what exactly
Yeah.
is the best way of doing it.
Right.
Most of the options, if you look at the program management, like if you when you look at PMP, you can easily say one of these options are not true at
Yeah.
all. Right?
Yeah.
So you
Process of
can basically
elimination, right? Yeah.
exactly. But when it comes to PGMP, all of them are so close that you really need to understand what is the core. What do you say? The core energy of program management professional. Like, what
Hmm.
are they aiming to do? So till
Hmm.
you get that knowledge, you can't really answer them. And
Understood.
yeah, it was an interesting journey, I would say. Like it's as and also I also sent an email to PMI about this program management professional exam. Is they have a lot of grammatical errors, and
Ah,
then some questions you actually have to extrapolate what they're asking you. You have to
uh-huh.
imagine, oh, I think this is what they're asking me,
Yes,
and then
yes.
answer based on that.
Yes, yeah, understood. Uh, Program management professional. I just pulled it up for those that are interested because I'm going to assume our audience is familiar with the PMP, but maybe not so much with the PGMP. So, based on what Rahul has shared in terms of his journey to get this certification, it looks like you need at least 4 to 7 years of experience. This is again demonstrating an advanced level of expertise through managing multiple projects in a coordinated way. So consider it in the way that Rahul had painted the picture between project, program, portfolio, product, right? And the differences there. But this certification would then verify that you have that program management background, that experience in order to navigate complexity and align to strategic objectives. I think that's really critical as well. So that is kind of the overall picture from a PMI perspective of what their certification is. You could couple that with what Rahul has shared today and then make a decision for yourself. Is PgMP the next step in your journey, just as it was for Rahul? Or is there another certification you're looking for? Obviously, for those who have been listening to the podcast for quite some time, I'm a huge proponent of continuing education, whether it's through going back to school, getting another degree, or getting a certification. So highly recommended to consider what Rahul has done in his journey and apply that to where you're at as a project management professional. Now, Rahul, I also know you're heavily involved in PMI, or at least you're an active member, right, of your local chapter as well as the community. So you've done all of this, you've shared your story with our audience. I have a feeling you probably this will not be the last certification you go after. If I was going to bet any money on that. But outside of work, outside of studying for the certification, obtaining that amazing milestone of being the youngest PGMP holder, you give back to the community as well. Number one, Rahul, I know I typically don't touch on age, but you touched on it, so we'll touch on it again. You're very young to be doing all this stuff. So it's incredible that you're able to do all the things that you're able to do at this point in your career. But let's talk a little bit about giving back to the community because you do an element of that as well. Where did that come from? How did was there any inspirations throughout your professional journey that led you to wanting to also give back to the community? And can you just describe for our audience a little bit about what you do to give back to the project management community?
No, thank you for bringing it up. And uh, just so you guys know, I'm the VP of Education and Certification for local PMI Michiana chapter. I'm also the Director of Training and Mentoring for the Northeast Indiana chapter. That's so basically the entirety of Indiana. Two out of the three chapters I'm actively participating in. And the reason I wanted to do that is because growing up, I had to figure it out myself because there wasn't a lot of existing knowledge. Like, let's just
Hmm.
put it that way. Because I was jumping into product management, program management, but I had to figure it out myself. Like, I basically rolled in the dirt myself. I was like, okay, this is what it means. This works. This did not work. So that is the level of granularity I went with when it comes to the education.
Yeah.
But looking at the plethora of knowledge available outside, it is there is no doubt, like people can get confused or scared when they're trying to get started in this industry, right?
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
that is my main aim. Like, I want to demystify program management and project management so that the people who are joining into the field don't feel like, oh, I have to figure it out myself,
Right.
you know? So that is where my aim is because I don't maybe it helped me be who I am. Like I love doing that stuff myself, but I do know that people like guidance. I had the opportunity to have amazing mentors, and I am fortunate enough to be mentoring a lot of folks as well. And that is
Hmm.
not what I thought I would be doing, honestly speaking.
Yeah.
So this is an opportunity for me to give back to the people who basically pushed me to be where I am. So that is why I'm very heavily involved. So I do a lot of events in the Indiana region. Uh, we go to community events, and recently I've been in St. Francis University as well. I help guided young project management professionals like students who are giving their final projects. So that is where I think it makes me feel satisfied because
Hmm.
I know I didn't have the full support when I was trying to figure it out myself, but
Yeah.
I can be that support for others who are trying to do that. So,
It's beautiful. It's beautifully said. I've always thought that was one of the greatest things about joining the project management community is we all have that inspiration coming from somewhere, right? Like you said, you didn't have that. So why can't I do that for others who are now trying to come up into the same space? I think it's such a beautiful thing that whether it's PMI that has promoted it or just inherently in the project manager's mind, the fact that we also
Sure.
have been through it and we want to give back. That's the best way for you to share your experiences. That was really, really beautifully said, Rahul. And I'm glad that folks are able to reach out to you. They're able to learn from you, your journey, and then ultimately for this podcast episode, I hope inspired to do more, whether it's also joining their local chapter, PMI chapter, or getting another certification. And I should promote to everybody, this is not by any means, this conversation is not promoted or what do you call it? PMI is not sponsoring anything around this. I think it's just a beautiful thing that Rahul and I share in terms of our love for the community as well as the opportunity to give back to project management. So, all of that to say, Rahul, is there anything you would want to leave for the audience in terms of kind of parting wisdom or words now that you've been through the PGMP journey?
So this might meet with a bit of criticism, but I'm a huge believer in training my replacement. So
Mm,
I love educating people so that they can do the things that I could never do before.
yeah.
So if when you're getting into project management or program management in any of these industries, one of the major things that help you grow and help others grow is asking questions. So
Yeah.
I am probably the guy who asks 20 stupid questions for every 100 questions I ask, but those stupid questions matter a lot too, because that
Absolutely.
is where the core knowledge comes from, and that is what I strongly believe in. Uh, so my parting wisdom would be learn, teach, and don't be afraid to explore. Because hey, if someone says something, so be it. You are always answerable to yourself, no one else. So that's it.
Absolutely. Very nice. Very nice. So, Rahul, you have to promise us one thing. When you get your PFMP, I'm gonna guess that's
Portfolio
what the
management.
when you get your PFMP, you're gonna come back to the Everyday PM and share your journey about that, okay? So if folks want to connect with you, learn more about your story, where can people find you online?
Yeah, sure. So I'm always you can reach me on LinkedIn. So just type in Rahul Chenna. I would probably be the first person that comes up. Uh, and if you are ever in the area, hey, just drop me a message. If you want to be involved with the chapters, please drop me a message. Like I am very eager to meet with you guys. If you have any questions, if you want to learn more about the journey, and you have specific questions that you can't find anywhere, and I can answer it, I would be the person happiest to do that. So LinkedIn is my primary mode of contact. You can also reach me through the email. You can find that on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Rahul, thank you so much for taking the time to walk us through your journey. I think this has been enlightening for all of us. Like I said, you're coming back when you get your next certification, and you're going to remember the Everyday PM audience when you're running PMI one day. There's a lot of big things coming from Rahul, I'm sure, in the future. So thank you again for your time today. For folks that want to continue the conversation with me, you can find me on LinkedIn and Campea. You can also follow and subscribe to the Everyday PM podcast on any of your podcasting platforms, Apple, Google, you name it. We're on there. Search for the Everyday PM. Let us know what you thought about today's conversation. That will do it for Rahul and I in this installment of the Everyday PM podcast. And until next time, take care.